Baba, have you been told at the Frontier party necessary as majority leader then? Or my cartel? Do you know why you were changed?
I know. It was told me by the president at the time.
Okay. But why in the public?
Osei,
like the reason one fan to that.
Oh, say of free MPs no name ministers no.
Yes.
Or them na amo a share.
Yes.
Sadino.
Okay.
Na asem no bobo ba no. MPs no be even about over 80 of them. That many number 137. About 80 of them had appended their signatures. So what to say as say neighbor. And I should assure them say I will hold and they will support me. And me call ya present a fraying and all the two anymore. No. Now even them who cramp no ministers no be a bit here now so say I'm what to say na papa no beka. Na president Yamai. Now mamintie. They are going to support me. Now I should hold on as the majority
leader.
Me down must. Some of them sent messages to me. Me called them hona President Bekasa no. Ano kaso adena o ye no nyono oni party no eneye. Na me march no against the MPs no ya. Ma here the big implosion be party. Oh. And here na on the spur of the moment, let me decide to say no, I've had enough. Let me step aside.
Awia no mienu abo ayo Kumasi online TV so Tik TV and Friends of Ken TV my hwefo na tiefo nyina ha ene awia yi sebra ko pamese no na obode adwuma de awia si nyina gye atum shoda no ene na awia ye de bre wo ne ekoso ka wo se ye Ghana mantim enti woni tua se do match dia na Ghana ne nyina obi awe se 6 match ni independence nya ye no ebetumi ede aba na ene 5th match o kire 6 match ye mampanyi di kaka kire se enya de se ebobodwa se ni nim first no we de betena fikesi no make kakra bi ketuwa bi e de ama o ma na fe ya gye ahome se be ya yenkɔ adwuma na ade kyi a ya to aso akɔ adwuma nti e behwe ne nso edidi ehu nkɔbɔ wonimu se ene be se 2 days ni na 3 days e third match no ana Accra International Conference Center e National Economic Dialogue eno mpayimfo e de hyehye so ya ne yadwendwen Ghana se bia betumi akoyi amaye omansika sem yedwadie wonsem yage culture ne ne mebeboa oman no yanyina monka ne wonsem ne mpayimfo kotoatoa na amutom sa de frem mpayimfo ahodo munim de yomaka sa dwuma de nase na yebehwe na edidi no so ho nkomo pa ni awese enema bes enum wotwe bia mpayimfo no edigu apono so digu nkrata so na afei omoye sem besi wugyaye no behwe ne bibie so akyerɛw na yɛdidi ɛno so ɛho ɛnkomo na ɛno akyi so wate sɛ papa na emre betwem na wɔyɛ MP ɛwɔ Soame constituency Honorable Osei Kyei Mensah Bonsu na ɔyɛ majority leader ɛwɔ parliament ɔpanyini akasa ɛkɔyɛ fa so ani dibre no efiri ni nsakodi ɛyɛ yewura afanyama kens ɛhɔ no wacheche ni nyina mu ɛbɛhwɛ na ɛdidi ɛho ɛnkomo sɛ no nso sɛ yɛde nkata mu nsam nyina bɛba na onso so wahudi yakoso na tum na kenkan a obebebe hyase adi afiri na hu emu nsam so na ne nkomo yɛbɛdi ene sɛ onim sɛ oman no sɛ bi enema mo yɛden obi aka inflation Bank of Ghana governor no ame ati asese CID yɛbɛhwɛ sɛ inflation betima aba form ama Ghana sɛ bi abeti aton 7 cedis no betima kɔ bɛ 3 cedis 2 cedis so emutu a enne sɛ wanto bɛ 20 a wo me no beko be 4 cedis and 5 cedis te se gobe ene kokko ne eye pe ne efe ne sei kosua ne ade apese wo di feeling nankasa no eno sei unguta be 30 and 40 anya so betumi ame eno nso so opanyini se behwe ne ade tini nyina so enti ade a ama omani ma yedin eti Ghana ha bode se bi yedo yenkra enso so untimi ntobode mpoda ko fufuo di ene ko troba na be se utu fufuo di a se on to 30 Ghana cedis fufuo nko na mo nkan wa se bi omen fufuo ene ko de ntwa 10 biem na 10 mpo no te se banku ya 5 cedis twemu mienu nya de fama ene 10 cedis na de ba kwa ho pa ne se uko troba no on to fufuo be 2025 a ye ntwa ne ntwa mienu emfama ho eyi ni ba ko pe ketuwa bi na de apochiri mu ni asanko aka ho eseje so ntini na ya de inflation no opagni so behwe se bibia betumi aba fom na Ghana so afri adomo akwa adomo ogopemu a Upper East region ya chi emrantie ne baba wa edu adwenu ensian rather 66 people are she omutu gram say e wo Upper East region ya chi sankofo ni nyina ya ohwa Ghana fo wom Togo fo wom Cote d'Ivoire fo wom Nigeria fo wom ano makɔhyɛ Upper East region ho ano mutu gala yɛbɛhwɛ na asɛm yi awie yɛdi ɛho nkɔmɔ na BBC ayɛ survey bi a yɛnyina ehu sɛ ɛba bɔnten no Ghana fo ɛkasa ɛfa saa deɛ no ho na sɛbi ama Ghana ni baabi amoto na agye yɛn nsɛm ɛyɛ nwanwa sɛ yɛti ɔman ni mu na sɛbi enubɔni a ɛmabunu a yɛbɛgya Ghana de ama wɔ mu ahyɛ ɔmo nsa bɛyɛ ɛbɛdi ɔman no so no emu ma animu mɛma di awe ho kra ne sɛ ɛman ni mpo sɛbi saa drugs no ɛman no anum bi ɛmɛmɛnom ɛmɛnom kyɛ sɛ ɛskuulfoɔ yɛ ɔmo kɔ skuul ɔmo nonom obi si ɔndo ɔnoma ne ne time ne dɛdɛdɛ ɔnoma ne ni agye ne wɔ fiili asa ɔnom saa deɛ no na asɛm wei ɛna awia yi yɛbɛdi ɛho nkɔmɔ awo dwumadie so mo nhyɛ no so ɛmfa ɛma me na dwumadie yi madawroma ani de kwa so yɛde nkrataa mu nsɛm nyinaa ɛbɛba na mo nso so manya bi akan na before then no ohwɛ ɛnɛ nkɔmɔ na sɛ ne yɛsi ani abere na yɛatena se na yɛbɛka nsɛm no yɛmfa ni agorɔ ɛno nti yɛnnua ba Rosina ya ɔno ekure yɛ obi a ɔkasa de ma ɛyɛ abafrantɔ ɔsɛ saa party no yɛ papa koye chamanten wantimi anya baabi anyi ama chada krompa tu no mi amadamfo anko ya amfa amaye bedi nyina ma nyame enche baba kan ye nsa wo ha na dwumadie ni nyina bomadi amna efe yenua bema eye dogbe Kevin eye NDC communication team member opanyini atenase ya enche bomba tene nka e wo dwumadie so mo hye no so emfa maye emre ni ntino yenko na yema nana ya emfa nkrata mu nsamuma na afi ye wi a dem gakane mu bo na yentrase na yensi nkunya na emu no ohwe dwumadi a ehya ase 3rd March kopem enra na se 4th March na se enra yes enra na je se enya senketo akura na ohwe ba bi eye me de pa no memohu se Ghana mpemfo de adwumade a Ghana ahama ne reset no ebe ye adwuma Saudi adwuma pa de a ma na sua nimde okofi okosua nyansa mahama osua de pa ba onim se dom kuma no o manko na kodwo ponkroma kasa se o man invite wo mu ba empemfo bi so kasa o moboa invite wo mu na pena o manko because o mokokra mpa yasem nana memo ha ma me
o fada nso mejo so a
na pom tisen
oba de na daroma me ho ye na nzo e
nyame ado me ho ye pa
ye do oba de
o ho ye fe pa o top ye fata o pa kama so
se de bia me ka cho se ye wo ya wada de a na che se ye bo no na ho fe ne nso
ya wada fo no
jale wo ya wada ni bie ne ho no ma ne ho otan
eye binom no mu ho fe
wo de na akɔfa ye na da ne me ka kyerɛ wo se wo fada
nkɔfa wo bia me sro
minim de wo kɔfa ne me ni tue nti na wo fada nso ya se me ka ya afo asama na ba se wo solidity me sinity eba ya wada ena ne nan eba efiada nti wonye full Thursday born
nti yes we have
na ye na ye wo ye na wi abre ne de wo fada nso jai
sa
awon fe ne dwale yen yanga
yes awon fe duye one am best me hwe mani ma me da se yebema me ba choboti no comment ne dia ba na ya kenkan e dia ma fato comment section ase ne kenkan nyina mfa mo da roma se ba ya nkomo ye die no wonso be dinu age nkyira ba o man panyini se o kyina ye ma achi se nyini mu no ubeti comment ya ba no man panyini ya adwen de na woka Ghana is here. I mean, sure, say we come by 66 and 68 years independence. Yenyano. They be a the team and now say be a Bahama Benebia. A question idea what the boy idea near American cabinet bachelor and also putting the comment about Faye. Yadi a home common. Nana, yes, now what's your say, Kyei Mensah Bonsu? Na count na or de mayeno. If I buy a pamono.
Osei Kyei Mensah Bonsu metie no na me yada ne first ne pa so na nsen no ne kasa ye bi no ase enkoyie mamente no ama wodo shonkwa na nka me woma no ya ayera
Aden
because me hu ni se honorable Osei Kyei Mensah Bonsu e ba ne politics a onimdi e wo ho edwume wa ya ache adwini mu dwankasa wa somo man Ghana che yie papa na fitibire a wo ba afie yi Nensem bi as washasi a work keka no. I personally feel say yensem bi a party no as MPB party a makwa akensie a reporto mamani megu ase say die. Na we ye penny a wugusu aso e wo party ni mu die. Me expect say nsem bi ho no mani kwan san ko ba bonten ebeka. Na so ase obesie mu opposition a na ase wiase munyansa nyina no egu mutirim but the moment a mobeba ba mu ne de na chesa akwakoye 0.001 de mu be ye bia no emfa kwan mu ne nsema wodi tu dwa no wofada nso metie kwan a Nana Addo danko ekufu ado efa so a ema wono no ebetena afia na so yi ne di but se de na wo ka ne nsem no ase yeyi medi ase yeyi medi utie ne nsem na ase yeyi ne di ase yeyi ne di
but say baby no hwa according to him no kire say odi kanya hint eye ono ne colleagues ni bi
MPs ni bi na etia na
die abani nji say ehia opanyin na ma onyi ntum no beta nechi no so wate enti waso no kodu ho na yese udimba in affairs meeting emergency meeting tro so attend to meeting no okodu na say president etiwo no de tu anim say see ohwa central region hono ase omu alusu credibility ni ne maneme bu ho ase omu enhyeda nya hoden ho papa na wo hwekura NDC for nso kura ma friends ato force kura be majority leader minority leader ama eno idu sukura no say dia onya IBMT ni ke be ya ompre nanka omfa empo bia wo central region be ye majority leader no ho to so mo kan ye no wa political kan so Mr. President enko ba se bia wo nko a na osisi agina no e bia oni party nye na atrase ana ma plan se ma dwe ho dia metim twan ho fonti me resign na mo de mani pamba se mo de ma no na so resign enti akoba eno ka so mo so onwene ho do maka no oyi ano sei na ase bia o ka ne sei eno so wono me yese bia wo mpra me bisa ntone de se party sigina dia ontimi entwe party na no wonfom to be ne se ono de budget no akwa resign enti o hwa o resign but o me nyina di say o mapam no so mo de tunani mu no
enti na make say se de wo ye no ho no ase de ye pame no ana ase de ya mpame no nso no ana resign
o se de asamba tu onim say e bia say o tie ye say o dibra wo no ase e bia manager na ase bia CEO no ye pese ye se sam mo bi ba by omunyansi gyan say ye mo akobet e be tu so o je pene ya o say it's like say o ma ma say bia o say yeah decision ye o ya man kwa na se fatwo ne ko by o mo freni polite way ne kasai say okay dia abani eti o kan say de na mo ye be na de maye say obagye tum anasa onyintum yes ana no kan say da bi say otie do mampanyina kana anya mampanyin kwa gina sie ayen party ni mpanyinfo ni nyina na esi gina ye ba ono ye leader ni ntino na ode atuna nim dia sabi oso otie ase na otranchen na o resign eti o ma nyina di amfo so no onso hwe ena di su de na anko ni say don de o and this for ka say yempene yem onfanto ba ready ya friend no tenase
so ye peni wa so mache
enti na senko no ka say de menti ase ana onwanu support ne say da bi yempene ema onabo se Kyei Mensah Bonsu emfi sa position wa and a party ni force so the letter ba say you dear free and the party na pam no
okay
but we no one can say da bi me di bua mamo me ne mo ntwe madaroma me di ato etimi de mo fam nipa na so no na aja tu wa resign so that say enti ono obi ampam no na resign baba bi kakra na me no okan ya na ye me na no eye se ebe mo mpani da sem oka che no one unwan man pisuna am assurance say
ye beta wachi na bia de na okwajitu se
odia obaji atum se unko bi mu mpa na se bi odi be man pa wo fra enya ho no because omu nyina wo ho ana man panyini to manim ye no aka say ese kokuom se ye de to onim a enyu ntum odia ka che mo se bi o man panyini ma memem kwadweno ho na nka sa ko hu nuanom se da bi me nuanom wo pese mo boa me ba seni senti esrem monti ase na mo de momia mfam nipa na bia se 2 days 3 days bi kwa fam mpanyin da mo kamate atum etim ko ma resign enti wo hwe ne nsem na ebe ma onuanom mo ma ka se beta da chi no mo di yawo
ewo mo
enu ta yuji ahen mo start no mo ye nema bi se we say first can for that tanko so let us say gabi mo ne sa ankofo na tenase
and my plan so wo mu you of Kyei Mensah Bonsu
and at that time so no na a friend say we wo Justin Kodua now no so o meet na see so by identity na ye no de call central region
and what chire mu say na asa hoden no da eni ho no
na MPP party no for mo hoden apart from central region se me be mo hoden
na central region kwa atumi mo
that can 50-50 we you vote through on including northern region club 50-50 northern region na wono awon nya baby say ye party bi dia o hoden no sabi nipa yi ni bo mo penasema na eto abade ama wo but Ashanti region pe
ndo meyi wo manim say MPP
na what they say for you kana the MPP kana kra tale won say go jaba ntema oba we ni seat but region say kan ente sa the so ba ka kire say your friend say gold party no akofom wo central region and one fan western region
and vote akware munya
yes
so what so I personally think say secret bi wo ho no ma sa secret no muntumi mfem ma bonte and then Osei Kyei Mensah Bonsu all this one ma bonte ambekasa this time now oba bonte abekasa no ehun hia
oh ba sebe on say one thing say okan ntema ebe ade foforo sadne beto aba
enne ebia ne se disia wo kan ye akwafofa nsem bebe na che say ase de edwuma ne de na nka wo pe na ya de a wo ye na wo bo homoden en wo makota bi ma fanyo market free hin de na ba be si ho no epuepu awon saje wa de papa de free
me no ba ya we say utim fa fanyo market en compose Kyei Mensah Bonsu
eno de
ye kan nyansam se ye nya de parliament ya o man bia and a political wise no men
say wo
so that's it
by Kyei Mensah Bonsu ko parliament na afenyo we
o say enema bu wa o e ya de say na manfo tete say ye say ye mwa region bi mo no say nye Asante region po na eye ba bi a ekuta party na enkra ni metikwan kempi wa
ane eno de
so that's it but no option bia say si enye free ha ba hadwen so that's adentina according to information me nyaye enra na omo ana omo pese omo di party ni kwa na aditwum na pon town Osei Kyei Mensah Bonsu Alan Cash na omo de omo se da bi achemfo ni ye afrim tiemfa osere usuma kan ana boss abresa me awuku ba omo wie san payimfo ye nyina ebi mu kamera fomudin na omonfe no
ne eswa ole MPB owo I think thema ono kra no kan me finidi nice beautiful lady bi
na ya lady na bibi
yeah no kra
na omonfi swa by na omun se da bi se ye ka se de ma Ashanti region
ebeboa party no
ana omun se da bi ye mfama nipa wo for ma Ashanti region for your animate ko sa Ashanti di ye ana achemo bae so that say boya party so ya Ashanti achem ba achem kwa no hwe history kwa den kom kan
na
yes ana be force more and to say the dia ene yema asante fo no be di akire niema no de fo me di anim
na wan pa na ka kire o mo se no ordinary no de ne be obedi nkunim
on se ade a spiritually no ade empanyfo enfa we ndc fo mena June 4th no enya fato so mo ye June 4th a na ron se wo magya ya no mo ye June 4th na we dey we ne see so mo ya o manga na sesa eye niema emugyaguo sacrifice ne me kokko so sa atam no enye bi ni o ase ye afanya mesem nti afana matra won ba adia obi edikanfo do mo mogya ebi mawu wo ho se mi wu o sa de we ho ama pet na gina odisa kantamo honhom ye adwuma na obeso sesa na emwo enu nti du bebe na kufa no wo bre no cause of a party say ne dia enra say me ne pet mpanyimfo bi hia awo ile di oye adwane fe ne sempo vapia no hayai MPP panyin o Ashanti region no parking car wo koto adwane ni bi wose wo fadan so ha adwen pa mo se ayi kwaso na TV for se da boche for fa si twehwe mu tie mu no wo ya stubborn pa na so ayede eni nya de sere no so dika kufado ba o mielu so nya kufado o kan preach me ma mitimu ni di o so mu ni bi bia dada be utimi o baye banya uti so yu ba ma se ye mfa banko tum ti o se o defend your party
wo kufado ya kufuo ko e wo ka chen so ne running ne vice na embom nko na wo de ba ne sen na wo de wo kwa wo ntam ne mfa ne nhye wo kire mpantoma bi enfembo mu na mu mienu na mo pak mu kuku ne mo nkaka na mo nko na chinchina na bawomia na bu yesi wo mu kopie mu oboko kura bi o mo ye campaign kura bawomia na nkasa mu guan wantumi enwura boko
oh
boko ho sensem ya bawomia na mu na ntumi enwura boko
wantimi
ehon ina no wo nya ahwe
sensem ho
Kennedy etumi ra ho no mti den na che se sanka modi onu ni sinche na modi obefoforo ba yanka emmoa
on se asam no de anu odin na on se sa ntokwa si boko no me pe history bi obi ka che me ne yi bi no akwa bibi ho so da se agwa se nipa bi wo ho a na omuche chire ya panyin prominent person bi a no yo manima na e ka e bo man de o kan no o kan on the course na certain back on semre bi e bla kofo na yire oji se ne wan ye bibi se ne bibia university wo ni kromu no MPP form tieni nim omo bass no omo kor no ye si obi afri bass ni mu sa do me campaign no amana kaba omi anko a then na koso omo bass ni mu tama mo kwa ba omi asi omo si obi a mo stop bass na trans se vice se bass ni na obi ansi de enipa no se do oti an say yes amasa the mo me kan you sorry I'm sorry yes amasa I'm sorry not it don't happen again sa na no waka but for no waka no omotia no nya se omampanyi na frɛ no na bibie si wo boko
asem
omo program ni ema o boko ana obi fa akire ti se bia hye ade se na ya be say bibi say aya atesemo yes atesemo yes da binti sa ebia na ya major for dance program ya ma se beye as a showdown host kukomu na dani no kan si o tamu ni nyanso na fa chi akaka kire ebia offense Kevin me na baba jamti ayabra na se on the mecha se na de sa eti bibia e wo ho dada ya empefura kan to se nyabotransa ma bibi nsi ansa it's alleged
ana ho prepare akofa we
ni obi koma order obi ma order just one phone call pe ma order enti o ma order we no na start ya sa na manema we ekoso oboko ni adade enti what means wo
asemo
ayese kwase pa
na wo fada nsunti MPP akona ni ye nim kufuo time nti ye be san be fa ne ntuma pe frani
ana me ka che o ye be Esther me ka che off air say seminar MPP fo a me attack Mahama NDC da ko adina esi no ebi si de ehu che bibia o se wotena se na mo radio stations ya e kasama mo TV stations e ma mo de mo bie abane ba on krosu no eti adenti ni yɛmfa saa platform no ɛmfa nkyɛkyɛ de ntiama MPP fo opposition
na yenja ntokwa no na wochina na Kennedy fo ahwo ha na ode che na Bawumia fo ahwo ha na we ya yesei no we ya yesei me tumi hwo wo mu am si inti ngwafo inti figure ya mu amunya ye ntiri mu ankasa mu ne mbo mu ho anase opposition na mo wona e mo de as opposition no wo manage mo sense
how mo so mo opposition
sa de no ma boa no bu mo bedi manache
na fence me ko ba bi me ko kwada so Junase market enra na Michelle dibi no mama off ti me do one mama so de nansia wo bai waka
wo bedum light
wo man se bra me pa chobra na me ko no se ba chaw me se transe am transe was me siraw mem fan hye mahama yinim de kufodo ye yinim ni nyina enne munti me dada Ghana fo bi me so ba so politician yo no se de mama nkasa obada bai me to ba MPP and lady ni yi the card wo ye member guta membership card MPP no se me card ni be akufodo ye nyina eni enti sene mama bana dum so abanyo na ye yo do ko ye no ye papa na ko ye no wo se ye okase papa ye papa ye so ka uzi wo se papa ko ye no
adu show boy ona akofa we na
enti samo TV so na mudi mama temu ase muna mumu yehu ase mumba ba munya mfunso be na Ghana fo unu ento ba fantiamo anasa mo na mudi ato wo se mama ba fa no to aso na bia mo sa beje ma de bibisa o bibisa na sa bibifo adenti na mo mfre mo mpanyin fo mo constituencies ni nyina nhia na mo ma TV station radio station na ka mo no mo ntrase una wo ya chairman den na ebunu region 12 seat enya ba kope na abronya akanto owia region organizer ho even say women organizer ho secretary ho obi bia wo ye onimu bia no yi vati pa kono ye interview
ko grassroots no mo odi nkomane na manto aba because Vincent tafo MP so no obekasai o so no call grounds ebisa wo mo even da kra no mo to aba no kra no edu say na was wo ko ho no nkopa wo mo chew say mesrem ye papa mo de mo nkona mo nkoto aba and people were complaining bitterly and ye bre ne ye kodi awiem ne ye to aba mo at the end of the day ye ho kire ye nkra na mo moayen ye to aba de mamu wi an makotena nkran Mama constituency ni su gramba hwe de ekoso ba wo de fa wani hwe eyi nanu ade ya Ashanti regional minister ya yi ni hwe adwuma abrante ne bo hwe
Franka Makohene
Messi me to me nam TikTok na me hwe papa ya Messi ene Simon Osei Osei Bonsu de
na Simon say nam ene makoshirawa
bo wan kasa
ene makoshirawa Simon kemako awie senka e wo
emre dia wo ba wo yerepa ema yi si for mi be chiechia nom chese aso o tete no de egu wo mo so na so sha younger ye yi ni I just want to say bibia to see ha no ogina ho no enye MPP for ma fan kokora fa party the be dia fa na ntuma pefra
sa ablante so de say suban we ya wa start
etwas wa
e de ko 4 years enya minister bia mo ka chese akwande o president pe
oh yes
president yes
so far appointment John Dramani Mahama ye nyina wonu ni obi amitu chairman
no Central Market
he's ready to serve
of course Central Market na class o si form and one jojo obi a o ba won chen no so munya wote be siesie munya be tese obi a
this is whom we call a leader
na consider your mo come nhia na police for soldier for ni security service by for ni na immigration for na salai na omoba chiachia send you who was Simon Semensa se no si ya ni niem oh what you be kama na wa hage kama na wa yesi no mu nyina
the man is very down
oh massa
so what is oh yeah
some from na shia I be so
but what so to me they say ya kwadi trust me say Ashanti radio no it will get to a time vote MPP benya no wafada so metumi de mensa be nkum kra kan
na one thing say ni Facebook page me no work this me wo Facebook ayi ade obe bia na o de beto
ai TikTok krasa bi
bi obe bia no from catcher na me bisa say na o head there so here over masha menye obi o mo yes and man be ko fia na do a na ofa na o kan amanfo issues o mo wo ni bibia na wo hwem na ododot ni nyina de to enti esi na afro setting ne nema to nya transit wo ye nema adwuma sa Frank Amakwo ne babobo no the next NDC o mo Frank Barry sa guy no
yeah very hard working
me say 2028 say mama nko bi ma me say
allegedly ma say Joseph Yamina Jalayo
Ojala say
say di bre no pe
why obey former regional minister dey na o yema na put on lele forget no kwani ko ni Joe when you benya su
Jalayo ankasa
onsu
she video wa saze o tutu bi kura de mane eyo NDC o se NDC kura mo gododo mo ba ye anka abatu obre ye te ye se prophet Vitokusi ye abatu aba na ballot papers bi woni fie ni ade na nka ma frɛ no
obesumela wu
o be position bi na ya mfa ama no bi aje
wo ba ye no wa be ye minister pen
ye hu adwuma bi ya
ye hu de oba ye ana sa ye dibre bi kura bi fa so be minister enu kwa ju sa pam ma wo sa kwa foforo eti wo de ma kwa no tum ma yempe si wo sunu bi ma wo so e bi krampa DC krampa no se atonsu market ko na le sha won sa
o balanzo Honorable Joseph Yami asem na ye ke na wo ma na tonsu
do we atonsu market onye nipa
me gas onye nipa na fada asa wo fada so degrade ni bi se
baby na wo to akasa ko we atonsu market ensi aketo
fada so Joseph Yami asem na mi ken
na wa ansem na sem nka de ka bi ansem
oh but
David the time a
minister there
ana adwuma branch ne Frank Amakwo hene boy no enya asem kotoa what you say
masa during election or ebio
ana oyobi a oswa se e ka ne kropa enya nwoma sua na ya yi a ana nka MPP a enga ka se wonya nuru ho
MPP de na se wo fada so MPP de nkokora seminar na wo MPP ba 8 years ma bo mi obi e ma the position na no e young guy da wo munye bi de
abrante oba ha Camel akon wo nyansa rof
ondru
sanka wo yendi sinyi pa na bo yi pa
wo fada so na se yente kike a wo hu 2028 ebe ye den say ye benya young guys and I say young ladies wo be join MPP because wo mahuni say NDC no nya bo ho moden eye sincere from na wo mo ba power benya position ba MPP ni de wunya bi I just wa ba akokra just when your sister plus wunya sister plus their position no wunya ndru honom it will get to a time MPP wo mo pe young lady and I say young guy say wo mra be ye bibi wo mo nya bi and then one a woman kunkoden edema NDC nyina no John Dramani Mahama baye she positions or they show and they deserve it because they are hard working they deserve it so MPP there be okra samna woman ko so amede nanka matina fie yisisi 2 months mu ne minim sanka anya hwe no mahua bibi afiri but 2 months impo na munya enu mo hui sisi aka John Dramani Mahama aka ni 3 years 7 months na just na mamoda ba na wiye 3 years 7 months yet to wo kokwasa sa na amra hwo na Ghana for said wo mkokromti akoto aba and if you people do not learn from your mistakes and you keep on repeating the same mistake na mo sa be ye blaming games ni ade a fashe wutire mu say wan hwa percentage na munya 2024 no ye be chemu mienu ye munya 2024 no ye be chemu mienu ni yamamo half. People are still feeling pains in them with the weird Nana Addo Fado. Handle economy no. Mube mo be radio stations ni TV stations. Ka mube educate a man for no derby. Mube Sholiano pa betena so a kokwasa ye didi ateme ko chiko obrema nyina na mo amudi mo party mudi mo ho atem.
Na asama kokwa na amaro obi ka che me se ofadan so. Se na ye show MPP project nyina Ghana for show na so.
Project ni bi wo ho no man ye nya wie yes na na no pentem akohin sa no wo gidan yo wo di nwamri kemri wo obi e
sa agenda 11 you know say ma hu say
go from Vincent go from the near so we
ma hu say enya no mpo ma hu say we say gaw ayi health minister economic takando o the touch o the fumpo na o the aso light
baby wo ho no ma why are we ni ade nyina
na say no na we say we
Ebi watere de won na ofada nso ko bi ho no. De ofada nso ye.
Akwasi chetia. Ana make no so ofada nso ja kofa bi de vivia ya wiem se akwasi. Kuma wo de ko bonya operate you akwasi.
Ko mo ya da ne NDC green book no.
O ma da ndada. O ma da ne ewi o mu de. Kwasi chetia. Am se kwasi. De wuye. Akwasi so je. Menkasa mse kwasi chi.
Mi so fa ba ko pe na metumi e me se abo me bu aka se we there it is finished na finish na.
Yes, $470 million. And I say wo. Omunwie yo.
Crow from.
Omunwie. Ai e mo force ye munwie. Ye nwie.
Asemo.
Ye nwie. Sika o ma je di
party.
Na ogi sika di wanti ma anya ben wa weni aba. Enti me mate nipa no mi kasa wa se omo bomba se ba omia be se ba omia de ni hunya se nam se ye ne kure.
Ba omia.
O ne ni hunya se bet papa no. Da oluman no. Ene mo mpanyimfo no obi tifi se kuma se ne.
Sisi why the Oscar MPP ni mu as obi ba o ni oba found ni pa.
O say na say the party so muska. Na ska party woni individual
go. Mo ana sikezi si go mo ntemti no the next person e be ba no just na Nana Addo na SI.
Papa na ye no. No, so was on active politics bi. De papa na ye no. Woni pa bia nya akono bi. Na wana den baba. This okofa achimi ni be na ba. Gabi anase kanfurata. Anase osoro anase boss abesame oku. Wan? Anafanya Markins.
Afanyo ne mre.
Oh, there. Me say
Brian Champon.
Say me why? Brian Champon.
Brian Champon.
Brian Champon.
Your former education minister.
Educhum.
Educhum de no ho akono. Na me kunu na podi amesrem ami amehwe no wate.
Me say.
Me amehwe ma.
Man na don fa no.
Mo ko bo bi edi.
Mo bi eti. Onyan.
Kan kura du ama ne begina kwa so bi.
Onyan mo bi anya na de. Na odo anya sekofo. E be to ba na be kasa. No ma sa awe.
Asemo.
Ai
MPP.
Na unim say mo mpani kofo na yiri wuye no. Say okokofo is allegedly. Okokofo ho a na ye MP. Now ye minister. Na okokofo na ko di be 10 minutes ko na ya se na police mi no guard kofo. One ne massa information ne makofo ado. Woni kofo di nkomo cha. Oba ya na ya ji ya se ebe ji ministry ya funse.
Ehura sa.
Hwe. Enti de di mahama fam ye ntwenka de sente de kofo. Then one say better about them campaign campaign.
Say ja ba omi ono
ba omi a. Wona de ho ba omi. Onyo mfa ba obi bia ma bia anya omu ne.
Ba omi ahu ye na mobo fada so be ne de.
Da bi enipa na ono no ye leader na ono no that or president no. Ono wo ti aduma ho so. Ye nyina so nim. Na se kofo yiru ye na okoche kofo ye MPP ni na o ye minister na okoche na wo koche. So no kofo mfo koche kuma di nkomo.
E di nkoma. Obeba na de se.
Tamo da so. Se tell me say bro so a say o ka na ma bia ni kwa say o ka. Ene oba ye say ba di ministry appointment difference.
Kai say peni bi 2 year for Nana Addo ho ne nso abushi.
Ono ne 2 year for. Kofo na ne 2 year for that.
Mi de mo bi e di.
Kofo na ne 2 year for. Sa kwa no.
Obi 2 year for Nana Addo.
Ono kofo na.
Ya ye di o ade ye no.
Kofo na.
But amafukusu Addo MPP party no. So mo ye wo mo ne ma ye ya 2028 dey ya promise ne ma wo mo but e bia 2032. Mo say Ghana nkasa no ye wo bibi say acha 8 years bia ro ho befunu yen. Wo bo edwuma wa mo edwuma because Kufuor time 2008 Kufuor wa mo edwuma. So Kufuor bo edwuma. Yes na nke yes but say Nana Addo be win 2028.
Na nya Kufuor na Nana Addo. Ana obi am ye hu o me hu Nana Addo suban. Asa na ba beto abampu. Ana one thing say ende se wo ka Ghana bakose ma obi aba mamu mabubu oman amana ya akono a e be se kwa me nkroma to so yen Kufuor
no am rolling city
na say ye mo rolling o me se Kufuor kwa me nkroma asem po na rolling na atamese maba Kufuor tam no de e ka se aba bi baba diska no e bi ko so ba na komun ne ye nya disika chiesi nipa because me tiwa sesi ye ya me ba adwuma yi se bo so ntwe me ka me nsia biem memfa ya fopa mbeta me kasa
ya bi
enti nye free na school no enya enya digital asem o enya adwuma ye economy no na me tie yi na me koto abetie 7 cities mienu 14 cities beto na me say gobena sabi ye import gari mfa bochirema ye bank na awia ise pebe ya enso beto ya ebe sei na yakoyam atwi ne am gari na dia ba na me koto bi edia ma nyi 20 Ghana 30 me ya banche ye import banche fa bochire Ghana ha ya na edo no Now baka che me say digital da bi kom the mama for trouble take for the mama tam na ukuta tensi na betanya adwane adi agensesa enyina yenim gobe ne nusa level no ene personal na yede je no cassava ne nusa
ene nkrado kono ba ko
mo uba ye timi ntohwe
asemu
uba ye Nana Addo ba ye no ye timi ntohwe ene ma agese agensem ana ma oman ye bre na ye do ma hye won sasa na egu oman yenye ne sa enti o hwe de course na ya gana for to oba na se maama emma ne ma ba fom dollar ne ba fom aduane ba fom bibia ba fom a me kan bibia se
20 me aban bia wo fa 8 years ne de ye den aban bia ba obetwa 8 years me nim say 2028 NDC be win 2032 MPP ne be fa eno die
and they say ne ba say ye bia from we e say first for time we go the after to nya sasa vet enya vet impo say vibe teacher for tom to totoye ko for time eti otimanya 3000 and then 2000 akwato vibe muno no them will be teacher ni be the cam ona makan nurses no the kasim enti ni pana neje ene ma monya de
teacher ni wanantia na na to nyina
na ye kana mu di atam bi before be di atam sa ene mo ne se mo ofie
Oba yanko newspapers ni mu demo ekodia yanko the Daily Statesman. Na Daily Statesman no obehu Nana Addo dankwa Ekufuado ni mfoni se ebo honnom na omo se Ekufuado responsible for exchange rate stability. Saso ena John Dramani Mahama ye mampeni wono so ni mfoni ebo asie honnom eche se de ye mampeni she Ghana foni na
I'm out for yes now. We say, please, Swami Agenda One Hospital was commissioned by Nana Addo and his MPP without any chair, table, nothing was there. Empty rooms.
Empty rooms, Angaza.
I'm watching you from Bantima constituency or any iced tea.
Zena meka ze mini baby ana ye mampeni no se no obese Ghana fo nyina hu ni se wo ko adwuma because the commission upon the commission ebusua na draw shododo na ye nyina ye bo na ba so na shu be kom no na che se ye tontro wadan ni si wono ma bibia eni hu agenda 111 ye na ya commission agenda 111 me se dia wo take kwan shu ipe eno pena metumi aka se midi mani ehu amehu se equipment ni ade ewom se we hospital MPP voice wo mo finish ye because John Dramani Mahama ebekọ fie ni green book wo so wie ye president former president kufuo so ene chance ye national no ade ye John Dramani Mahama be pie mu Ashanti region o hye wo mo nyina abo se acha sa afi we nko na wie ye no na se we hospital no wa finish di amaye
nana me ba cho fasimana fasikana sima akasima be so edu motwe Esika no bisika po. Simana. Simana kari.
Wafadanso. Ye kuswa wa the Daily Statesman. Ghana for
no obi anga so mi ka number. Obi mi di nyina. MPP ni so bet tra mi so
the Daily Statesman ya ba pedi she Ghana for nyina bo se wo ba je se nyuma ni ade de obebie bi e de amaye nso ni phone a ebo honom na echo se YAP beneficiaries nyina no e ya ade a ya pam wo mo se wo mo nkofie na wo mo nkope bebi enda saso energy na posho ni phone eda ase honom a eno so ese gina calls for clarity on proposed gold board wafada so ye emre yanka gold board the number sanka ye discuss but ebushu akonya the Daily Statesman graphic na uko ye page 2 abehun se story no eda honom na wakenkan de amaye yemfri the Daily Statesman mu na yenkopie mu wo Daily Post medemo ekode a chese MPB ena nyamia na dom ena wetumi akwakoye adoye ena wo kire se eba ne se obeba be ye mampani pa de ondo betumi aka ne se eye divine call enya wontumi nsole preko benkasa mpese me beye MP ondo hu ni say ye divine call lankasa eno nti no eyade achese wa ma award 1.3 million Ghana cedis to 302 tertiary students. So and we are poised to implement outcomes of economic dialogue. MIDA boss your finance minister Ato Forsen wano shonimfoni eda hono man sure no was Ghana for nyina but say economic dialogue there wo ba be fa say natural kronkron anopa ewia ene anadwu nyina no eyade ade ekoso man Ghana nyina no wo be ma ya so etumi atibisa so ena niema bi achesembre bi atwemu ekopie mu ewe ye parliament house to date yen shada nim nipa wo bi na no ekache eye senatorial say a daughter of a murderer shut up and then sit down. Sabaya menemoka say chese volta diaspora for enrada ena womu ye yichire kese pa na womu do mache ya kopie mo parliament house say womu sha say nipa no make that statement no womu betumi ache na so mame famu nko the daily analyst medemo ko dia daughter of a murderer comments Bagbin gives 1 week ultimatum to corporate Alban Bagbin speaker of parliament was nipa will make that statement no dia one man or achala watch back ope one kasa bonte na wombe confess one man bonte ama me confess dia eyade wom kasa wom be you know ede na ba abonte gift your warren sure wono de Ghana fo nyina no ye di debration nsa ye ni ba ye ho so no na 263 ghost names na shoboshumi bia no na kakra wa ekwo wom botom de obehu you ko fa register na obehu kwabrane 80 years 90 years 72 years ni ade nyina no at the end of the month ni bia no waje kakra wa no de gu ne botom I just say ye declare no wanted ye so hye no hefa no wa fa ni ade ye nya ne tie se wa kwa akopie mu ewo obi memu sabe ya me no ka say de wa ba be pie mu ewo o my Ghana ye hye ni mu se obekwa akopie mu ompenifo anim na wo mo atoto nanom saso GNASSM backs gold board gold hun sensemi Ghana National Association of Small Scale Miners Wamsio, Wamudia, Wamujitum ye papa, say gold board, ya just a gold bond, yes, Siano, ya seti, a idea bet to me about Bua my Ghana. Now, yet to me who you go there, 100 say, na shon for sure, 1 hour to good, no be the ko be me money idea in a secure was say, woman ya any idea in our woman, I'm sure I'm for show. And Kasami Famon feed the daily analyst, young copy what the Chronicle show at the no bagawaya X. NSA Iron Lady touches town. Yankasa ya mami gift your warrior na meka na asemi. Nimfoni na eda hono ma chese ukoje the Chronicles and krata ya. Ubetimi akenkan ensema ewom. Chief so de kokoboka si apadi ya ma ministers awamu o my Ghana say fighting against galamse no mayembe ye na wewo ye MPP nin wo ye NDC ne debi yemfa ye nine offensive for mankasa na ye make sure say for any ministers ni ade nyina no wo meka wo mu abom se ba ko wo mako galamse ya ese yensuo ene yensase so energy na ponso foni eda honoma I think said the Daily Post no me church mu ede emam no yenko the new center mandate of gold board not clear Jinapon ono shunfoni da hono monday was still na gold board ya wo matini ade wono de woni chirechire mu bi ant was re NDC amanyoku no led by his excellency John Dramani Mahama so womra na wo munsa so embe church nsemu ye na Ghana fo nyina no yenti bi electronic money issues chamber condemns attacks on mobile money agents na say wo betia ne say ya show ababa we bi awo mobile money bi ya tu ni tuo ade ba che obati yesi abrantie bi ya di tuo chese esiri so ade ni sika ni ade nkrofo a wo mo ebie mobile money ade bi ni wo mo kasa no wo mo srese niema chese ekosho nansen wo manga na ya bo obi tuo ya ju obi sika ni ade nyina no enya ade a wo mo eba befua so so na arrest of former officials must be civil and loyal afenyoma case akoji the new center ubehu ensem no ewo mneja wetimi akenkan bi yenko the daily guide yeko daily guide so gift you or worry mensa nimfoni ebo honom eno so se Nana Addo waba be piemu ewo Ghana chese nchekra no wabekwa akwa piemu ewo NI before ensemneja womo atoto nano saso na daughter of Medra enso ho nsensem ya medikan ya chechemu ama matenom. And also Alban Sumane bag being phony eda asie honoma wono so kire se nipa waka asasem no wo making sure say wo be yi ne ho anu ana so no ankasa beba abontia beka se mia na mekan ye ansa na wo mu de ebufuo eyi nanim ama Ghana fo nyina no ye hu ye free daily guide ye call Ghanaian Times ye call Ghanaian Times Public express hope for better Ghana. Woman Ghana nya 68 years. Ade Ghana fo nyina no yegushua ebo mpai se bibia betumi akwoso wano no man Ghana so etumi afa ne ntuma pa efra. Ye foreign affairs minister a block a wono so de nsema babonti a wo kire se ye nuanom a wo mo kɔ haje ne ade acha kwata 3 months 3 days pe ubetumi enya passport a wo so ubetumi edi etukwan yakobo mpaye ekire eye Allah ye free the Ghanaian Times a yenko metro lens Ofanko in Sawom Roads deterioration reaches crisis point. Ebano in Sawom any Ofanko kwani de ebushia in fact ade ha adwin ye papa se wo firi honom no kwa te se mfuturo no contractors no ma fa kwan so be ye 2 years ni kwan ye nwie da na ase edwuma no so edile cause a lot of accidents nti ye besre ye road minister se wodi nani ebekọ honom na wetumi ahwe de amaye blows in parliament over Sona debate. Sasona Osei Kyei Mensah returns to Ghana. Yanko the informal. Yakwa informal moa 2025 budget minority vows to reject new taxes. Minority no MPP amanyokwo mo parliamenters wo mo de wo mo se enya de a wo mo ba beji atumu se NDC aban bo sha wo share no wo ba wo betwa levy mu ne betting tax mu ni ade nyina no wo mo nka wo mo anu ntum number on fa new taxes but new tax no wo de ba wo mo no wo mo begu na mo ya ahia mo ba bebo ade egu sa so ena stika so mfoni ene bo ho no ma wo no so threaten MPP was here ensem ya na anu ade mo na mo sie se makwa akotena bebi na ndie makwa akohwehwem ne nti MPP amanyokuo no every year wa ma me constituency wa me bo wa me ka bebi aba abonte ba begu mani masin honorable Osei Kyei Mensah Bonsu so one yesterday no wa ma abonten am be retroactive statement am be pa me chowa ekwan ya MPP amanyokuo no fa so wo mu lose 2024 election no ade a wo no stika wo de be ba abonten na Ghana fo nyina so no ya so etumi atibi thieves endanger patients life at Kolebu asemo cut oxygen copper pipes for scrap akron for tetra mo angasa so no mabu awura ye Kolebu hospital na ndie oxygen copper pipe ma manfo nya ahoden ma manfo tumi home mframa pei wo mo akwadwutwa adan ya wo mo de kwakoye alomi ye free honom de a yenko the custodian nso say beware of Wagadre NDC minority cautions Ghanaians minority voice say Ghana for nyina no monye steady papa na NDC for ne de ba na Wagadre ya de just wo mo ya de ewo mu ankasa wo mo betumi the 6 ada ne ye 9 sisia and a gold board initiative needs clarity Samuel Abujina Poma Church mu di amamo 2025 budget will tackle food inflation Bank of Ghana governor free the custodian moon Yanko the daily searchlight. Be bold and speak up against injustice. Man penning His Excellency John Dramani Mahama Nimfoni ena eda hono ma ndi wo kacha sofofo nyina se munjina brane mamun kama no ntum so bi pese wo tete ana so bi pese wo tsena mo fan wudie so a moka manutum de ende na ebekwa akoye de MPP for ede mu ni bi abolish the Council of State ukopie mu ewo oti regional oti so yitimemufo ewo honom se wo the Council of State no kwa no mo hunzo vajo bia enti wo mo sire ye papa se it should should be abolished. So now people of Chamber installs new youth chief. Yeah, that Fidelity Bank support New Horizon Special School with donation. Womu sunyankopon ensure womu ye papa. Inti wavadan so ena de nkrata no de eba ye nom ena mabubo so ede ama yetiefo ene yahwefo nyina.
Medase yankopon shira but yahwe na wo ka bibi se ti say was it gold board no
gold board no gina podie was one no one tiase wonim de gold board no ba beye but me hu Sami Jemfi me hu ni interview a wa chire mu se na small scale miners no ka bibi se wo mo de wo mo foa so nti according to Sami Jemfi ni chire mu a wo de ba ye no na o ka se emprepi no one o me small scale mining no wo m se wo mo licenses a yetumi edit gold no but emprepi no equipment ni ade ne kwan ye wo sanko o mo fa so o mo handle gold no entumi enko ne saa enu ntini gold ni de wetu o at the end of the day na bia Ghana hanum se ya no betumi aton ama obi ba wontumi nkoton emfa ma obi owo obi memu saa na chese o man Ghana nkasa so no ye hwiri sika nti saa gold body wo mate eyeku a wo mate a wo mo hwe se wo mo betumi ehu kwan a ye befa so o man Ghana ye gold a Nyankopon de dum asasi ye betumi enya so mfa so
enti gold for oil no ya Ghana fan shede ho hwe na sabi o mbeka che se o mo de gold ekwose oil no ene obi si ya si biaye bia mo mutu garamse ni adade ni gold ni adade no e ba ye o mo sector na so matena ya o metumi aba ne no ma ye adwuma na bia de o qualify ne ya hwa abo ande bia o se o ye ni ye no ene ma mo de sika se mo de cause oil ne ya hu hwe na still na no na fu e kosoro no sabi enta me kan say ba bia aduno mese ye nuanom eye MPP for no Ghana for no sabi sade atwam he se wo obande na odada no wa ama no be ma wo fresh no odada no ama no hwe he nani ti ye wo start ya okase possible mba cho me mpem na ada asem na
yes kwase afwa ye
international mo no akansa akire wo enti se wa position a kwano tum mo ye bia ye west than we enti oba oni sika wase mate gold board enti ebedi gold wudwa anase bia gold no sise bia no e wona wo but oni finance ministry ne ba be kan bom so na ye oye former lands ministry minister mewa na fe sa good for oil na ba homi ade ba initiative ne kosi sen
wo gina pone beso wo kire se ka me akwaye se yate no ya do sododo na Minister of Lands and Natural Resources na shon fa so ne sei Minerals Commission wam shon fa so ne sei na Minerals Income Investment Fund wam shon fa so ne sei na Bank of Ghana so wam shon fa so ne sei asisi an wam nyina wo hono ma wam so adwuma ne sei wam be hwe se wo man Ghana ye gold ni ade nyina no emu be ye dru na ye ton de ama obi owo obi memu a tumi aboa na sidi ne nso no etumi aba fom dollar ne nso etumi aba fom na sidi ne nso mu aba ye dru nti saa ne me ya amabobo shu na nko wo mo honom na sisi an de den na ba ya sisi de gold board for so NDC
na go for the minister send appointee wo
question for the
one sector na minister best 4 deputies in count omo be ye den the same adwuma no one adwuma na ministers best 4 to 5 reform sector ya kwisibuafo akufo create demand no e dey for so enya free so
enya for so bia
kwisibuafo take husband family TV so ni other social media o take super mahama from 2015 to 2016 ye trouble wiye ye create reform sector at the man no amanisika call Rwanda se onko sua ho ne ma no mfamra no oba radio suka se be kan ye ala ko Rwanda we praise Rwanda for me wo bi da ti sabro kire we wantimi amfa pen anga se me ko we na mti ya mabaye pen a Rwanda for na ye ya nti ma ko sua pen mo menya ne Ghana esika kusiboafo enti jira pona ma ne se mo ye de chen sei we ne confuse Ghana fo
Ghana nkasa na afo sade ba ko so e ma Ghana ntumpo ni se minority or majority woman him say ade a osimesi anaso obentin dey be e ya ade e betumi abo o man Ghana but esan say enye party ba ko mu na esan say adwen no enko baby ba ko de ene mama meka bibi no obi ehu ni say me show me kasa but at the end of the day no
ye nyama na isame jamfi mahama so omu feli aya ne to ba mo Ghana France be to ba etie omu etie se na mo ye tuti amono ya tuti amono no ntimo nko Nana Addo otiri ponte one sector ministers best obi ba ye ya ujan kasa masa jinapo yesiro Nana mahama okusua nyansa sebi jana hwe no anko ya yensa njofo ne bekanya no so ka
anko ye kura next 4 years
Ghana tuma no ya say maka chambi NDC for
enya kasa bebre sa mo ma ya fa ye ni nhwe na wa fada so wata na Ghana enya say
68 anti anu say no ye die dem say ye yensa beti taja
nti Ghana 68 pa ya bra boni nti ya fani
say bo fu fi no wadi da wata
so na be fani 68 years
but I think say
68 years na still na yet gold border for 2 months Ghana 68 years just amafugusu ati nkurase ya wo muhua de ebi nya board impo just ya
adeba kwa meka chesa meja mfini say baby e to go do bia yemfa eho hospital eho ensuo omo toilet omo kwan infrastructure bia o se ye market police stations yefa ni nyina masa nkofo ti say an go to Ashanti ti say Nimot Ghana takofo no anwa mutu godu yemfa wo nyina ma wo mu because you see ano akwantu nhwemu a yaka ne de mo abaka ye say ye no ske ye nya kura ne nu ba bia enti yemfa ti say kesonwa kwan eko events Kenya sig sabu afroji woni nyina no ebe benefit sa Nimot for no omo hospital omo bibia omo market bibiom na wo so besi na aban no ye won se ni hwe omo de ye japade amaye so ukosunyane a ese omo betubu o afisipa ene techre hwe ekwan a Nimot for pa adavete free teche kunu akoto na chi mame se kanam so a asenya kampo na utim yo Nimot for no komaye no hono eni 6 months you mutima ya from my totonsu eko be dom passe enu 6 months lati bo ho bibia enti adenti ne mfa ye sanne mani nyina nse omunsa na ne abane mom nka no mom fa Ghana for na nchomu kaye na omunya adwan fa ma o man no na nkekaka ba mbenya no yemfa nye ba bia yentu gold no so yemu wi a nya de register bia sunwa be na ko sa sunwa account chiman na da show munsa na nkomo ya okwan enso be bia omodjuma no na
ye to go kra wo mo pon wo
ahwo wase me say e ba ka no be 20 years no come be si Ghana san ko fun mo sa mo to go dem say no eni sa gold no na me we dey me da se yem face na
wo fa dan so me da wase ye papa
okay ye nua ba na ya na de enkatamu nsem ba ye sori sui o sola kwedi eja oni to enka bapon ba before ba I may take some day and before kasa na me bo fua mo kasa me bo fo mo ye nua be man dogbe Kevin e wa ha e be kona afia mana kwaba enche Rosina Krantima ye MPP communication team member Ashanti region mame movement for change Alan Cash obaba kan yensa enche bia na Kevin aye NDC communication team member opanyin e wa ha Kevin akwaba pajama krofuri ma me wadaroma na ho ye de nyame adom pese bi ekoye de de ready asepa de sia ekose
ya ba be mu de ye tutu niama nsa ye be chere MPP for say ye sibu oman ye de oman show monsa for the last 8 years omodru oman ni bu ye bibia ye basa afi Nana Mahama ye visionary leader wasa bebiem. He is coming to reset the country, make the Ghanaian people feel the hope, say we are on a restoration path, we can feel involved. You to know will play a very critical role. As you can see, in the last 53 days I assuming office, we've been working. I should say, you can even bear as witness. Yeah.
Okay. By Nyame Adoma Ochina na yanya 68 years for independence nation. Eman panyine say yente say enkane no. Say ni ebodwa of region bia na nkura goose park so na wiase wo mu no. E cost a lot. Says ke betimi ade foforo am on mine. Mama sima bako odi eman panyine adwen.
Okay, as we are approaching or we are in the month of Ghana, or me African way, International say presidents before say baby like we are campaigning or catch Ghana for say when he comes there are some expenses wouldn't what he's going to cast the cost of what expenditure of the country. Ministries with me I cut it down. It trimming ministries from 30 to 23 and all in the attempt of what cutting what expenditure. Here Ghana, we need schools. I think the last survey by one particular independent research body, or say we have about 2,000 schools still under trees in the last 2024. And some of these monies would be channeled into some of these things. Independence Day celebration, if we are supposed to do it district levels now, it is going to cost a lot. Near any regional, near any national, it is going to cost the nation a lot. We are going to cut costs. We are going to have it in the nation at the national level at the Jubilee House to cut costs. All is in what the attempt to cut costs or cut expenditure of the countries, as Mahama promised here before elections in 2024.
Okay, but Oshia says this much in Yamaduma or China independence, and then send on women paying with me, Amagana for whom or China.
Okay, so as the BIA we all know is a Mahamadi Ebano in terms of communication, Wakwadrimu. He is someone that you can trust in terms of communication, and it's not only about communication, it's also about instilling hope into the Ghanaian people. And when you look at Mahama in the last 2 years or in the last 1.5 years, he's someone who speaks and the youth feels involved. Okay, elections are called 2024. Yeah, you could see the youth involvement in the NDC campaign, in the NDC movement. Wabe president, okay, ministerial appointment. Yeah, I think last time average age of the ministers were appointed was around 49 years. Okay, it is very youthful compared to MPP4 or more appointments age ratio was around 65 thereabout. And, I think that he's someone who is going to bring hope and going to instill the patriotism back into us. The patriotism that was lost under the presidency of Nana Addo. The patriotism the Ghanaian people didn't feel. I can say yanko clean up cry now will be uncle because if you say or minor cry no. No one cares about us. The leaders are enjoying everything to themselves. And he's going to instill hope and probably set the country on a path of restoration.
Okay, but unum say gender means at the criteria but say terminate a month for contract. What is that? Okay, you see a man paying a buyer, trouble man or man paying. Also, ma you to know Jumaye. Now did you say Sakibino?
Okay, so the reasons, and I said the NTA Mahama, because this is by precedence, and I'm not here to equalize. Say, Abaindia in the past, and if Mahama does it, it is justified. But when you look at the mode of appointments and as a mode of employment, I had a man for it was appointments that it was appointments that came after the January 7th elections, and these are people who are believed not to have gone through the right recruitment methods. And so what the government has done is, and yes, we revoke you, he has placed a ban on their employment only to look through the recruitment method. Say if it was done in a genuine way, say any genuine, then we would revoke it because they were last minute appointment at MPP4 a year. So it is believed, alleged, say or more the call for an Akogusa.
Mate, Rosina Babana, my main kind kratana a buyer, Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Republic of Ghana, PO Boss, Nina Ewaha, and all regional and zonal coordinators, Ghana School Feeding Program, termination of contract. Was it please be informed that the contract of all regional and zonal coordinators of the Ghana School Feeding Program JSFP are hereby terminated with immediate effect. May I take this opportunity to thank you for your service to the nation and wish you well in all your endeavors. Kindly visit the Ghana School Feeding Program Secretariat for your individual termination letters and benefiting and handing over instructions. Dr. Agnes Na Momo Lati MP Minister, Copy Chief Director, National Coordinating Director, Ghana School Feeding Program, and Controller and Accountant General. Until when you got Ababontia and Painfono, but maybe a hammock can say a day in a Suntina Mode a years. I said, or more Yama or terminative contract. The reason, yes,
the reasons are Momulati, a minister for women and gender. You know what's. She didn't state reasons, but you can look at it, you can rationalize it in the sense that these are the people when they were in charge of feeding program now, all had pictures, any infonia, like Osha Idiania or Modema Yenianoma school, any idea. It was something that you can't write home about. And some of them have track records. Say Yemo Muska say Abia, this is their allocation meant for food, that they wouldn't use that amount of money or that money allocation for what is needed. And you know, this is a sector reform we are undertaking. We are going to undertake overhaul the sector, putting people, do a better recruitment, putting people who are befitting of the job, who can serve the interest of the Ghanaian students and the Ghanaian populace as a whole. Because school feeding program or more policy documents more, I think that you are supposed to have a certain ratio of your goods you are supposed to, like that are supposed to be locally made. Yes. And over the last 3-4 years, na ND MPP or the kind of food that it was nothing to write home about. Last nanu yami home picture nibi and a video CB as it was very bad, very bad. Internet is a major sector reform and an overhaul of the sector or more yet, so that we can put in people who can be trusted, who can we can trust say Ejumapa.
Okay, but that's Juma Day a showdown. I Kumasi online TV, Tick TV, and Friends of Ken TV. Jumadi na rese nyaba Rosina Krantima Yokasadema Movement for Change Alan Kwajo Chamante a year na alliance no Obabeka yensana fe Jumadi nso yati ono nso enumasem na yigina aboa magana tima kwanka weti do comment yaba na makenkan nyina nso so adiama na before then no yenim say National Economic Dialogue ekwoso Accra Conference Center na ohwe se ne adeni sikoye na igina say na Accra International Conference Center ya empemfoshia ya trotro fa adwen se be Ghana esikasem yedwede mu nsem yenkan yansem yekua ye agriki nsem ya kwan nsem yensuo ni nemanema nyina betagina brane na empemfo bebre ne call ya omukoti se agina yam na enema bense ensia bi a empemfo hwe kan wasam ye 1 was restoring microeconomic stability enti ombahwe ayi sisi se ba ya omani sikasem asabi enyina yie no betime agina ne naso na physical and monetary policies no etima konkan review of the foreign exchange orientation regime no enso betumi aboa ana major taxes reforms ni nyina yade behwe won panfo no hwe se won behwe ayi nsese me biatima koso Ghana. Specific recommendations included expanding the property taxes basis, revising VAT structures, and plugging revenue leakages. So, achieving inclusive and sustainable growth, and also agriculture, hwɛ ekuya ye ikuku nsɛm ne nema ye di sika bro manima ni nyina mpemfo so mahwɛ na ɔma ye ho adwuma promoting private sector led growth ɛno nso so ɔmɛhwɛ na ɔma ye ntotoyɛ ɛne adwadi a Africa nyina ye di ya ye fɛ no AFCFTA ɛno nso mahwɛ Africa Continental Free Trade Area no ɔmɛhwɛ na ɛno nso so ɔma ka ho asɛm na atumi aboa paa ana afi addressing infrastructure deficit ɛno nso so mpanyinfoɔ no ɛde gu nkata so mahwɛ na ɛno nso ɔmatumi ayɛ ntotoyɛ sɛ yɛbɛtia aboa ama stakeholders obia tumi aboa ma ɔman no sɛ yɛbɛti reset Ghana sɛ ne yankasa yɛpɛ na atumi aboa ɛbɛti sɛ ɛyɛ the Ghana Stock Exchange JSE ana afi Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund JIF ɛno nso so mahwɛ yɛ ho nnwuma nyinaa ana afi enum ne implementing structure and policy reforms key sectors such as energy any cocoa any ECG eti energy ni cocoa bɛhwɛ sɛ cocoa sɛma sɛbi yɛsɛ de kan ho make metric ton ne yɛ de ma kokoko so no ɛbɛhwɛ na ɔma yɛ niye ana afi energy nsɛma entimi nyina so yɛ nkanea ne ade na afon ɔkyerɛ so de dum so saa na afi strategic governance and accountability ɛno nti ɛbasa na obi ebetu katahyehyɛ aban no ebetu kro no kankan ne ma ɛkɔ so enye nase ɛda from anim a ɛno nso ne nyinaa ɛkɔ so enra ɛne enra chi na yɛ 3rd March to 4th March ɛno na domkuma no ɛntumi ankobo mo sɛ yɛ invite wo mo sɛ ɔmo nso emra bi ɔpanyini ma mema hɔ Kevin unya na agi monitor dwumadie no wohwɛ mpanyinfo a bɛka saase a Papa Frank Kijo ebeka sa wase ana vice president ye ma me nso ekasa ase ana opanyina ye frɛ no ebu taxing also beka sa Mrs Abena Osepuku beka sa David Ofosu Dr. also beka sa ana mpanyinfo beka ka ho ma minti wadaroma.
Okay, and so me follow program no National Economic Dialogue between 3rd and 4th of this month. Na Nana was in an attempt to say all the necessary stakeholders, anybody who has ideas, the people who have ideas in the economic sector, so that we can come along. Because as you know, you prepare your budget on the 11th year, budget reading in Parliament. And, these are things we are taking people's views into consideration. Because NDC, we are a listening government. We listen to all sides, everybody. So the kind of people mobile. We had political people, we had the independence people, and we even invited the MPP, but they were not present because they believed they are failures in terms of economic issues. Because Obi Omodene as economic messiah failed, so they were unable to show up. And this dialogue was an attempt to listen to diverse views, look at the critical conditions and the situations in the country so that we can bring pragmatic solutions. Solutions are now policies are at the bar. It would benefit the Ghanaian people, everyone, whether you are a poor, rich, middle class, OBIA is included. So that is what the National Economic Dialogue was about. And I think it is a policy. It was a policy promised by Mahama, and he has fulfilled it. It was part of his 120 days social contracts on Ghanaians in the heat up to December 2024 election. So this is a fulfillment of his policy, and not just that, but the Obia Adventure, we are taking ideas from everyone to reset our economy. Because when you look at the economy, and let me tell you something, one sweet thing is, since Ayeba Abemu and since the December 2024 elections, we've seen a decline in the inflation rates. And these are things that it brings about hope, because currently inflation rate is around 23.1. By end of 2024, it was 23.18. And we've seen about some 0.7% reduction in about 2 months. And so this economic dialogue is supposed to look at and then look at the economic situations, let the Ghanaian know what is happening in the country, and then the pragmatic solutions or ideas we are bringing on board to solve them. So I think the economic dialogue was a well planned out, and I think the arrangement and the organization of the program was also top notch. So that is
okay. But that's it. Yama na ebedi yankomo ewo efia na mame emamu ayika krabi efa national economic dialogue na ko eso no ewo Accra International Conference Center no enura chi na your vice president mame Professor Ginano Pukwajiman ekwase na okwa address eye nation kwa mafaso a Ghana betimi efra duma kwa dumo na abomi bia akoyi was say Ghanaians National Economic Dialogue kicks off this morning. And Oba was led by President John Dramani Mahama. The forum will focus on the theme resetting Ghana, building the economy. We went together. Discussions will center macroeconomic stability, economic transformation, infrastructure development, structural reforms, private sector growth, and governance. I'll say a distinguished lineup of presenters, including Mr. Mensah, Professor Ebo Taksim, Mrs. Abina Osepuku, Mr. David Ofosu, Dote, and etc. We shall insight and policy recommendations. The discussion will be guided by expert moderators, including Governor of the Bank of Ghana under the S.Y. Kufuor administration, Dr. Paul Akwa, the Edward Brown, Mr. Joe Mensah, Mr. Felix Addo, Professor K.K. Sapon, and Dr. Emmanuel Akwete of Institute for Democratic Governance, IDEG, with stakeholders from government, business, and civil society in attendance. Today's dialogue is expected to set the course for Ghanaians' economic recovery and long-term growth. Eti share jumadi na necessary bibiano me sure say key points and pain for the peke ya na omba so mo ye ni say it me implement we twamba mama no etima kwankan.
Oh yes, of course, because the caliber of people Omoye present in the on the day, there are people they've served under even Kufuor before, Omo served under Mills before, and when you look at 2004, see, I think that was when we recorded 2011 was when we recorded the best or our best growth rate in the country. Yes, and if these people are coming on board again to bring ideas, I think it is in the right call, and they will definitely bring results to the country. And I think their ideas and ideologies that they will bring on are things that would affect our country positively. Yes, because when you look at even the contribution of the current Bank of Ghana governor, that is Mr. Dr. Esiama, the contributions are by these are pragmatic things that we take them into account. And I think Honorable Ato Forsen Kesio, he is someone our show say he listens to the people, he listens to what is good, and I think he will sit down with his economic team and they will draft a manifesto that would suit the Ghanaian people, that will bring hope to the Ghanaian people, not one that will take away the hope Ghanaians have. Mahama during campaign Okache say if we have any little hope left in us, and I think say Kiselato Forsen is going to spearhead that in the economic sector or finance sector.
But medase yenu abema dogwe Kevin medase ma yen chance na fi yin komo Bank of Ghana chese governor no 2025 budget we no better kepa ma inflation food inflations no etimi aba form mamintio simano enum odaroma.
Okay, medase be ohwe inflation rate of Ghana has here. It is driven by two important factors. That is, one is the food inflation and non-food inflation. And if he says, and the food inflation takes most part of it. So in Tinokase, they are going to bring a manifesto out, a budget out that is going to tackle the issue of food inflation. I think it is in the right call. And even there are contributions the Bank of Ghana governor can put in place to to look at reducing inflation rates. One of them is what reducing our monetary policy rate. Yes, which currently stands at around 17%. And, you know, at a point, your monetary rate, policy rate was around 29%, and under that regime, we saw inflation rates hit as high as 54.9%. Yes, which was unprecedented in the country. And so we are going to put up pragmatic solutions and ideas to reduce them. And when you look at some of the things that drive inflation rates, some of these things include increase in petroleum prices.
Okay.
Yes, and increment in petroleum prices, as we all know, would affect prices in general. But what we are going to have under a John Mahama governance or government is we are going to see a stabilization in what fuel pricing and petroleum pricing. We're not going to have a situation where fuel prices just rises exponentially. We are not saying that we are not going to see increments, but what we are going to say is, what we are saying is, we are going to have what a gradual increment, not exponential increment. And so we are going to stabilize petroleum price increase. And another thing that can also tackle the issue of food inflation is about empowering our farmers. And so when you look at Ghana, we are a country that is we like import driven. We like most of our things to come from foreign. And you know, this particular government is going to assure us, they are assuring us, they are going to make sure that they empower our farmers so that they grow what we eat. And Mahama during his campaign also made points. I'm always making reference to that because that is what we are going to judge him at the end of 4 years. During the election time, he told us that if he is going to make sure that we consume what we produce in Ghana, and if any foreign company wants Ghanaians to patronize their goods, then they would have to establish a company in the country, and that is not going to only produce food but also going to serve as source of employment to the youth of Ghana. And so I think when we tackle all of these things, when we look at stabilizing petroleum prices, when we look at empowering our local farmers so that we eat what we grow, and also we look at constructing roads, because at the end of the day there are so many foods in the villages. So many foods in the villages, but the roads that connect the urban areas to the rural areas are very bad. And so when we tackle the issues of road construction, I think we are also going to have a reduction or a stabilization of our inflation rate. And if you look at Fitch reports, according to Fitch reports, in 2025 alone, we are going to have a reduction of 7% in our monetary policy ratio, and that 7% means that we are going to reduce our inflation rate by a whopping 5% by the end of 2025. And like I said earlier, your inflation rate stands at 23.8% as at December 2024. In January 2025, it's reduced further to 23.5%, and then in February we reduced by another 0.4%, so another 0.4%. So now our inflation rate stands at 23.1. And so after we've read our budget, cancelled all the e-levies and the betting tax and all of those things, we are supposed to see a further decline in the inflation rate. And we believe Honorable Kyei Mensah Bonsu to spearhead that and cancel or abolish some of these nuisance taxes, as we call it. Okay,
but that's Kevin. But my main question is some article be open, you know, and I said small comment be and a statement to make here a brand now address the nation. I say Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Esiama, has indicated that the upcoming 2025 budget will introduce measures aimed at addressing food inflation, a major contributor to overall inflation, with rising food prices driving up household expenses and business costs. The central bank views targeted fiscal interventions as essential for stabilizing prices and ensuring macroeconomic stability. Speaking on inflationary trends in an interview with Bloomberg, Dr. Esiama acknowledged that the latest inflation reading was higher than expected, primarily due to food price pressures. He emphasized that these pressures are structure and acquire policy action. Last reading came in a little higher, but we think that going forward, if you look at the causes of the inflationary pressures, it was mainly from food inflation. It was mainly structure in nature, and so therefore the coming budget statement which is about to be presented should be presenting a number of measures that can contain food inflation. If that is done, I am sure you will see a return to the disinflation path, he stated. Dr. Siama also revealed that the Bank of Ghana's Monetary Policy Committee, MPC, will meet next month to reassess economic conditions and determine an appropriate policy response. We plan to hold the next monetary policy meeting next month, where we will reassess the conditions and take an appropriate decision. Therefore, once we have an appropriate monetary policy stance in place, and then also food price inflation as well controlled, we will begin to see inflation trending back to 8 target path, he added. Path, yes, into the Omo bibi nti a omonya kukudu a omoka sansem se Ghana inflation na se bi nim beba fom enua se omamo se enuane sam na ma omane yebre amanfo ntimi di ye ko sika ni oto ade kwa ntimi nto na ade ede na yewura Siama governor wohu ya finance ministry no so ehu a oma ahye but this assurance say ebetumi ayeye after see ready budget every on the 11th March, you know. Kevin, ade na won hunti abanada na ehu a asa enya otoso mamu
of dance we dey enye kasa bebre on say we ye aban a ya ye bida wo hwe in 2016 na ye free aban mu inflation rate are handed over to the incoming government, which was led by Nana Addo. His Excellency Nana Addo was 15.1%. This is a government that we've not crossed the 16% threshold down. And so we know what we see. Yes, it's a blind man so okay, good. And if NDC is assuring us say they would see to it say your inflation rate reduces, it is because they have a certain track record in that regard, and they are going to do it. Because when you look at some of the policies they have in mind, mostly one of the key sectors, one of the key reasons that leads to increase in inflation rates is because of central bank financing. That is when the Bank of Ghana prints so much money in the country. Okay. When there's so much money in the country, everyone is going to be forced to sell their goods at what competitive prices. And so this Bank of Ghana governor is going to make sure that there is no excess money in the country. That's what curtail the inflation rate. Because like we know, if demand is high, then if demand is high, then the prices would increase. Yeah. But he's going to make sure that there's no excess money in the country. They are not going to print excess money in the country to make sure some of these things would happen. And also, when there is money in the country, when everyone is working, when our routes are working, because Mahama promised he's going to look at the infrastructure system again. And he has a track record, he has constructed some number of routes, some good number of routes. He's going to continue in that particular tangent. And all these things I mentioned earlier, Mekacho said the influence with inflation rates, petroleum prices. As we know, this month we are going to see reduction in petroleum prices, and that is because of a dip in the fuel prices in US. And so we expect when all of these things are coming in, we would see the inflation rates restored back on the path of reduction. Yes, and I believe if things go the right way, if no pandemic hits again, we would go past or go below the 15% I had handed over to NPP. Because let me remind you, NDC has seen an inflation rate of 3% under Atamels, And under Atamils, the then head of Economic Management Committee was John Dramani Mahama, and he is now the president of the country.
Okay.
And so he has expertise, not him alone, but with some of our party members like Seth Tekpe and all other people. They have expertise in this regard, and they are going to drive our economy to make sure we have stable inflation rates at a reduced rate.
Okay. Yamna second topic in Sona in Komo. Upper East region is 66 illegal miners now. Yet me achieve muna Oshe Togo 426 Togolese. Ana Burkina Bay 482. Ghana 438. Yerim sega me say the papa no from committee almost stop your man for. Yeah, say Okobi question is for cry chairman for me see the moment tiase Emma omo ense mu ne mani adadia. Upper East region ade da ben tie se bi banisa sega me say for in video.
Ofa, answer me kosa topic ne so member honorable Emmanuel Amabua, our minister for lands and natural resources. Ohwemana or bo ejuma ye pa tax forces he has been able to unveil or more share to the fact say this Galamsey. And let me tell you, Galamsey is a menace. A menace is affecting everyone irrespective of what political colors. And this is a menace that is an existential threat. Say it can be existential threat. And you say like it's only affecting human beings. It's affecting humans, affecting our water bodies, affecting the fishes in the water bodies, the plants and everything. And we also know that when the last tree dies, the last man dies. And so this is an existential threat that can wipe out our entire country, because some of the waters we are taking in and drinking are what's polluted, because some of them have cyanide and all other harmful substances in them. And I think last year, 2024, Ghana Water Company made us aware that when they take maybe 10 gallons of water, the good water they're able to treat out of that 10 gallons is like 2 gallons. And so that means that it will get to a point where if we don't tackle this menace, if we don't fight this Galamsey, we would have to import water into the country for our usage, for domestic usage. And I don't like to politicize this particular topic because it is an existential threat which knows no political colors and boundaries. And so I feel that for the measures we are putting in place, establishment of the good board and all of those things are things that are going to help fight the Galamsey menace. And with the issue of Upper East, yes, that is not an isolated issue, because it is a case which has been reported across the nation. And so I would like to deal with the case as has been reported around the country, not an isolated situation. You get it? So when you look at the Galamsey, in Ghana here, we have two forms of mining. We have the small scale and the large scale. Now, the large scale mining are those that are regulated by those owned by the companies, Newmont, Anglo Gold, and all of those things. Then we have the small scale. In Ghana, in 2023, Ghana made or had 4.1 million ounces of gold. Out of that 4.1 million, 1.1 million was from the small scale. Now, these small scale miners are those perpetrated to be engaging in illegal mining, because they do not have the right machinery, they do not have the right training, they do not have the right technical know-how to be able to deal with the mining in a legal way. And so the formation of good board here, Mr. Sami Jenfi Edano, and which is going to regularize or operationalize some of these sector reforms now. They are going to make sure that these small scale miners will be trained on how to use certain equipment, how to also use some of their technical know-how to benefit the country without necessarily spoiling or degrading our environment. Nanu ya Mahama Ekoma's speech, State of Nations address, or say out of 288 forest reserves Ghana has, 44 of them have been encroached. Because they have been encouraged, that it means these illegal miners have taken center stage in this forest and are doing some of these illegalities in there. And when these things are happening, they do not, like I said, they are existential threats to humans in the first place. And you know, I think say the task forces now, your friend is saying, President Alanche and then Minister Amabuamu Alanche. I think they are in the right call to fight this, because I think even apprehension of these 66 people, Upper East region was by these particular task forces. And I think we have to commend them, say, or taking some steps, say, but it doesn't end there. I think they should also make sure that there is a patrol team that should be around those centers, so that these illegal miners do not return back to these particular situations, sites and all of that. So I think in that regard, the minister in charge.
But they say, task force for no cohort. You say, ebimu NDC for omukrani omu fight. Say, Gam say the enka aban inyuma ho. Ento munya wamon sense as into a form good year no. Ben it must stop it.
Ofa.
Konsenka MPP NDC naba. Na yese fight Gam say. Ebi mu against this petty near their grandpa prince able to me of Abraham say.
Oshe NDC moi. Yeah, party we are very, 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 very principled. In the sense that Oshe ya memo moi, we have the track record say whether you are NDC member, now say you are doing something which is wrong, we would take actions against you. You who NDC abaya we've persecuted and sacked our young Crawford. And so if something like this is happening in Ghana and we have NDC members behind, we have NDC supporters behind it, it doesn't stop the fact that it is a wrongdoing, and President John Dramani Mahama has stated emphatically that he is against illegal mining. But what he is going to do is, we have to, let me also make it clear, in Ghana here we have so many youth who are involved in illegal mining. We have to look at protecting, we have to look at two things. One is protecting our environment. Number two is also making sure that these youth have a source of living. Because if we sack all of them from work, or we take all their sources or livelihood from them, then it means they are going back to the streets to engage in all sorts of social vices, criminalities, robberies, rape cases, and all of those things. So we have to look at a situation where these people are not left unemployed, and then our environment also protected. And in Mahama say, okay, since these people decide to do mining, let us train them with the appropriate techniques on how to do it. We ban them from using our water bodies and forest reserves. And when you look at the Gold Board again, I will make reference to the Gold Board. Honorable Mr. Semi Jemfi made a point that when these golds are mined, because these small scale miners do not have the technical know-how, they will bring it to the Gold Board. Then the Gold Board will treat the gold and then commercialize it. And now they are going to regularize it. They are going to give them excavators and make sure that these excavators are used at the right concession without entering our forest reserves and our reserve. And whether it is NDC based, NPP based, it is a wrongdoing, and it is a menace that is an existential threat that is we need to address as a nation. We need to put party colors aside and address it as a patriotic nation. So I think Mahama is in the right call, and he's going to do that devoid of all political colors. And I think even his appointments, you can see that there are some NPP beneficiaries who are enjoying from his appointment. So Mahama is someone who embraces all ideas. So far as you have the expertise and technical know-how, I think Mahama is ready to work with you, irrespective of your color or boundary or ethnicity or wherever you come from.
Okay, but once in Instagram said from there 2014, 16, 15, 16 there. Now you say I'm go far by. Nama about the tram and saying ready a campaign and that baby muka say rubber pain. Gam say my breast pon na be gidi. The mu yin na mu dim nya hwe. Pasa mu da Ghana for.
Papa, we dey so mokasa no mu twa nso because you say adwen eni ba ko fo etrim. Enti say ebia enkane no na yentimi anso ano a na say yasako Mahama, as like you also rightly said, Mahama has learnt a lot And I agree with you, Mahama has come and he's changing so many things. If Mahama has learned so many things and is trying to change so many things, I think when he went back to the drawing board, he came back with fresh ideas on how to tackle it. So as to whether, and I don't even agree with the saying that Galamsey started in 2014 or 2015 or only under.
But 2012 started.
It has been, Galamsey has been with us since the 1980s, and without a doubt, every successive government have tried playing a role to stop it. Yes, but if people say Mahama doesn't have the merit or doesn't have the moral right to say he's going to fight it, I think it is wrong, because Mahama has learned, he has the track record of fighting it. His commitment to Galamsey fight is evident, and that is what has led to the formation of the Good Board and other associated PMMC and all of those things to fight Galamsey and to make sure that Ghana makes the most out of our resources, because God has the number of the level of gold that I think in 2022 Ghana made or produced the most gold in Africa. We made 142 million tons of gold in 2022. And so if we are able to put all these things together, make sure we do mining the right way without all the illegalities and without touching our water bodies and reserves, I think we are going to make so much money from the sector. And so Mahama is committed to the fight, and he is going to overcome this menace. I'm sure of that.
Okay. But I say, and you say, I'm some way to make you as here. Tigana from to some way to make you as here. Moya sure. Mujidi. Mujidi.
Because some of your plans are there to and actions are here because Mahama Mpu or say under then they've just ended government. If this almost easy will excavator. Na yasheno na yedijatum, but Mahama said dabi emamunye ne sa musizia munkipi, then we'll train these people again and then what, give them back their machines, then they do the mining the right way, because I don't believe say mining is wrong in Ghana. What we are against is what, the illegal mining, the mining where you mine in concession enya wodia, and I say you mine to what to affect our water bodies and also our forest reserve. That is what we are.
Now, then in the sequence, last time was from past 4 years. Month me and survey na month was a mujaya sebi abanada iba and swastina na.
So yes, between 2014 to 2016, Mahama took so many steps. Oshaya, he made sure he launched some of these Operation Vanguard and all those things. These kind of task forces, so that they can go around the forest to make sure that these number of illegal minings are reduced. Yes, and so he couldn't complete it, but he did something to stop it. And between 2014 to 2016, we know that at least our turbidity levels, so because the turbidity levels, that is the clarity of water. Our turbidity levels were not as bad as what we have now. In 2024 report by NSA, our turbidity levels was around 14,000 NTU. Yes, instead of around, the normal one is around 110 NTU. That is the normal. We went above it and we're doing 140 NTU, 140,400 NTU. You understand? Your commitment to the Galamsey fight has been evident. We've done it before, even though we couldn't overcome it then. It was something that we tried to reduce. We couldn't overcome it. But now I believe with our pragmatic solutions, with the visionary leader in John Mahama, we are going to create jobs for the people in the long run. Some of these people, more engaging in illegal mining, are doing that because of lack of jobs. And Mahama has promised jobs for the people, whether you want to learn in the informal sector under the apprenticeship program, whatever you are doing. The 24-hour economy, and I say a Ghana publishing service, and so I started the 24-hour economy. Under that, we are going to have jobs in the country, and so these people will not be asked will not be forced to risk their lives, because illegal mining yes. So if there are jobs for them, legal jobs for them where they can make money, I think this youth would refrain from risking their lives, because some of them is not like they have an option, or more because they have no option. That is their source of livelihood. We have students who go to school, leave school, after school they go into this pits to mine, and that is because of what? Lack of jobs. So Mahama has promised that he's going to create jobs for our youth, and so we would see people leaving these illegal activities and now would want to get employed, get some training in the informal sector and all of those things. So I think with these pragmatic solutions and ideas already, I think we are on the right course, and in the next 2 years we should see a drastic decline in galamsey or illegal mining in Ghana.
Yemfa akesima du mienu na nonayabo na yesori jumade showdown I Kumasi online TikTok TV and Friends of Ken TV. Now say enu ba Resina Krantima ya okasadema movement for change ewa pa Alan kutucha maintain na alliance nanso yesi nso atopa ntino traffic achina dadi ukruma enu ba yi myeshwa se baby adudie momfa nche ontumi ma na yeni abema aye Kevin enwie yeni abema dogwe Kevin aye NDC communication team member wa Ashanti region na yeni no edi enkomodwuma di show down so na aka last topic na afia sole so but asema ba BBC fa koye expose hu se youth no a man mema nyina omoya addicted ya efa sabi ebiti se sa enubonia abebeya ema enonom mema enonom ni ade ama mene wo kasa kura no sabi akọ parliament ama parliament for nso kura bobo ho a yese obi a woyese bo se etimi hwe na emla so enini di meba ho ma men kind statement omodi bo se BBC exposed in illustrate drugs is an embarrassment that must pave way for us to deal with addicted youth by MPs. The Member of Parliament, the Kolokrote constituency, Dr. Zinato Adjo said the recent exposed by the BBC is a national security issue that must be taken seriously. She said it is her prayer that given the exposed and the global embarrassment we see now, we will take this matter very serious. Commenting on the matter before the House on Tuesday, February 2025, she underscored the need for authorities to take immediate actions to deal with the importation of drugs. The lawmaker opined that the ramification of this illicit drug inflow into Ghana goes beyond the large scale and affecting people's lives, the security in our schools, affecting the security of our ordinary citizens. She suggested that the law enforcement agencies responsible for this need to be strengthened. Eti mame ehwe ebe den na ye wo FDA wa yesi India fo nyema bi omaya omode power emwa emponko ne nyema bi omode yomonyema na sabi omode ba eni kwase nipa kra no ye yefa emwa ne ade eye den na FDA fo etimi transe Ghana ye borders ahodo ye checkpoints ahodo etimi di enu bi se fam ebe ba Ghana market ya yeto ye so called drugstore yeto pharmacists yeton oko market nso a mana hye bi woni mamu tonton Kevin amana edu yen
ofa okay issue of illicit and illegal drugs here because it does not only affect omo yeah you teach and so it also affects us in the sense say obi kofa edru bi say ya edru boni bi say ya obitimi onam kra na you are not even safe in town again until ohwe the FDA any immigration service here Ghana immigration service here omutimi allow some of these goods to come inside, you know. I think say they should also man up and do their jobs well. And most of the times too in Rona and Kofo it is not because they are harmful, but it is because they take them in what excess quantity and they become addicted. Okay, Drobi to say tramadol. See, I think scientific research actually said tramadol is used to treat some illnesses, but who abusing and now you take it with some particular or other substances, it becomes harmful.
Okay,
and so I think the Narcotics Board, the FDA should educate the Ghanaian people on how to use some of these drugs. And I think let's look at some of the implications. When we look at usage of illicit drug, when we say illicit drug, it's not because they are illegal. It is because they have certain substances in them that are not recommended for certain people. So I may say, a drug to say tramadol wouldn't be good for me. So when I take tramadol, I'll start showing or exhibiting some particular characteristics and I say activities I would be showing. When you look at the health risks of that, most of the time, the people who get addicted to some of these illicit drugs, they end up being mentally retarded. It being someone if pregnant women take them, they transmit to their children, they give birth and their children are deformed. And so these are health hazards of it. Now here's security aspects of it too. There was a report that was released in 2023, and there is the results of the research. And they say in Ghana, 50,000 people abuse drug or take in illicit drug. 50,000 yearly, on yearly basis. 50,000 people. Out of these 50,000 people, 35,000 of them are youth between the ages of 12 to 35. And these are people who are in secondary schools, primary, junior high schools, and tertiary institutions. And they come out of school and they harm people. Security is down. And youth, this is because the youth are neck deep in this. The remaining 15,000, and so these are people who are relatively old. 15,000, 9,000 AMM or and 6,000 AMI. Even the illegal drugs, even women are included. And so we would have to look at pragmatic ways to handle it. Ghana has our main way of dealing with drug abusers is we arrest them. Yes, and that shouldn't be the case. Utie criminal law lawyer Martin Kwebu under a forum must say these drug abusers are armed with their drugs, but the way the government even handles it is even inappropriate. Say, some of the drugs make you see things in a different way. I'll see you as a small person. I am ready to engage in violence activities. Now government and also if the government finds you out, instead of say I will put them through proper rehab centers to advise them to take them through the risks of some of these activities so that mobile out and next time they wouldn't indulge in something like that. And in Ghana here, unfortunately, we have just about 981 public sector rehabs, government in India, and this is not adequate. Looking at the facts, yearly you have about 50,000 people who engage in drug abuse, and so I think our law enforcers, our lawmakers should look at ways of making sure we regulate the influx of drugs into the country, the usage and dispensation of drugs, because it is not always about drug. Okay. It is about the usage and it is about its handling as well. So I think FDA, the Ghana Immigration Service should come together, and the Ghana Narcotics Board should come together and be able to educate. I think when I was in school, GHS, that was in 2017, Narcotics Board came around to educate us on some of these drugs, cannabis, marijuana, and all of those things. I think they should do more of public education or lectures in collaboration with the NCCE so that many people will be aware of the implications, hazards, both health and security implications of these abuses.
Okay. But it is Ghana security service and I say institutions are weak and are serving an 18 because I think say a spying pool. Na their back system na ye turn the Ghana for near the day na among for so issue be drugs ne drinks near the day say be the system ni what's the reason tia sanema we at times happen in our system?
Say what I say BBC happen it is as a result of say obi anyi nejuma ye. Yes, in the sense that before any form of food will get into the country, then it means that someone has not done his job the right way. And you know, I think going forward we should be able to train our health personnel. We should be able to train our security agencies, for instance, the Ghana Immigration Service, so that they can be able to fish out some of these expired drugs or expired food, so that they do not even enter our system. And most importantly, like I said, the Ghana Immigration Service should be trained on how to detect some of these expired foods and drugs, so that they do not even allow them into the country. Secondly, the Food and Drugs Board or Food and Drugs Authority should also be expanded to make sure that they are available to check all food and drugs before the dispensation or distribution across the country. And they should also empower these pharmaceuticals and over the counter shops, so that they do not sell some of these expired drugs and foods to the Ghanaian people. So I think more of the time we should make sure we train our security agencies to be able to curtail this issue.
Okay, thank you very much for your time, for coming.
I want to wish Obi birthday. That be my friend. Or Sherman or text me say.
Okay.
In the Chidera of KNUST, Mickey, Michael say happy birthday to you on this special. Or your bar.
Everyone say
Chidera.
Pachan
or biological science 1.
Sir, don't forget picture. I must get it to a issue.
Meaning the picture I see.
Oh.
Okay, me by my man pen.
I said I too late.
Okay.
And get it to Suma Maja. Yenya Bansu Chida Lanzo Soja. Kwame the Lanzo so I lost him. Now Onya Bachi the Lanzo so can we say a combination. Thank you to me Abua. And what is a Nyashe, that's it. I don't know the birthday. Send them with you.
And Yamia do my baby.
Frank and Goldman, so just
ABS Jimo. It's a holiday.
So I tell you, a band and as watching. And then we are such a moon goes good. I was a Antimo, Mona. That's it. Kevin, you go point it out. Yen you have Bema, Kevin, Dugbe, MPP. Sorry. Hey, was this a human? And this congregation team member, our Shanty, say student, I can rest him. And only be the common. Monfan chess, any about Regina Crantima, and to me, Amber Kayans, a suno in saying Swato Party, Okasadema movement for change, and they want to me, Monfan Che. Yamia Friday, Lebesia na yat first. Jumade showdown, I Kumase online TV, Tick TV, and Friends of Ken TV. Be doing any of a dance, but that MC and Nina say. Manuel and I feel directed the boy in so Edana say or that Jumadi maybe be to me cause come and I feel so Mamaya and I didn't cry 10 minutes at the ever some ye and every year and you may Miss Oliso de Nonayabo and into the best Yakopoya Doma Yensia that's it if yada not yen trasso showdown Yakramo Mabai.
Baba, have you been told at the frontier party necessary as majority leader then? Or my catcher? Do you know why you were changed?
I know. It was told me by the president at the time.
Okay. But why in the public?
What's it?
Like the reason one fan to that.
Oh, say of free MPs no name ministers no.
Yes.
Or them na a share.
Yes.
Sadino.
Okay.
Na asem bobo bano MPs no be about over 80 of them. That means number 137. About 80 of them had appended their signatures. So what to say asimsi neighbor, and I should assure them say I will hold and they will support me. And me call ya present a fraying and all the two anymore. Now even them who cramp no ministers no be a bit yam now so say I want to say na papa no beka na president yamai na mamintie they are going to support me Now I should hold on as the majority
leader.
Now me down. Some of them sent messages to me in Manima. Me called them honor President Bekasa, you know. I know Kasu Adena or no one party no and now me marching against the MPs no year. Maria get the big implosion Beba party. And here on the spur of the moment, let me decide to say no, I've had enough. Let me step aside. The president Kasa Danunkwana me take it down notes. The way no ma general secretary. So when the general secretary come home or take it decision. No friends will make us. So I pick it down a few notes. We no be some said we be become. The show and make us resign.
You said it there and there.
I said it there and there. So I didn't want to be the eye of any storm in the party. I'm quoting myself. Until I'm resigning. And then why did and those of them no more MPs no felt disappointed them and so on. And so when they heard, they all said the same thing. But I think I took
on my reasoning to on the party to take his decision. Say watch a dodo and now so Mufi say
oh they
from an answer day.
And not the meeting I can say.
Yes.
The okay and say some rena and this for now President Mahama no more yin so beda
yes.
Na onyi ni running mate. But sana na AC Coronier ni so be fa Vice President ene Professor
Nana
yes. Intino President Frey na sem no nam say ne pono no. So Central Region I say ya ho den kofom. E wo ho. Na in visibility e wo ho. The minority leaders Nato not taking over from Haruna.
Yes.
And they were expecting to have the vice presidential candidate from the same region.
Sure.